Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. It's the morning after Juan Manuel Lopez's second round KO of Bernie Concepcion. The rumor is that Lopez's next fight is going to be against a much older fighter, Rafael Marquez. The line on the fight, the betting line, hasn't yet posted, but I suspect that Juanma, as Lopez is known, will be favored against Marquez for a host of reasons, including the fact that Lopez is undefeated. I'm predicting the upset in this fight. I actually believe that Rafael Marquez is the much better fighter. In fact, I believe there is a distinct possibility that Marquez might, in fact, win this fight by knockout. Now understand the risk involved, and you need to look at what the line is when the line comes out. But understand the risk. Lopez is not only good, Lopez is a southpaw. Marquez has just come off of four grueling fights against Israel Valdez, and many people are questioning what he has left, right? But don't be fooled. I believe that Rafael Marquez is a future boxing Hall of Famer. Even in his mid-30s, Marquez has to be considered from a skill perspective to be one of the top 10 boxers pound for pound in the world. He is very skilled. Understand, too, that he, in my opinion, and I know this is controversial, but he hits as hard as Juan Manuel Lopez. And I believe he technically is the superior fighter to Lopez. Let's talk about my concerns with Lopez. My biggest concern with Lopez, who went down at the end of the first round against Concepcion, and who fought a guy, Rogers Matawa, and quite frankly looked awful at the end of that fight. There was some question as to whether he won the fight. Certainly, anyone who saw the ending of the 11th round and all of the 12th round realized that Lopez, who has one of boxing's highest knockout ratios, has a very hard time surviving when he's hurt. But my primary concern with Lopez is something you can see on tape. It's his balance. It's his footwork. Let me just point out a problem with boxing. The problem with boxing is that great fighters who are unbeaten, who have plowed their way to the championship, the mainstream media is a little bit hesitant to criticize those fighters. It's kind of hard to say he won the fight by KO, but he showed some deficiencies. Right now, when you look at Manny Pacquiao's feet, and I think this is important because it's a key component of Manny Pacquiao's greatness. You know, you can hardly determine when Manny Pacquiao, who is a southpaw like Lopez, is leaning on his lead right foot, right? It's very hard to determine because Manny Pacquiao is a genius at hiding his footwork. He only needs a millisecond, just a quick flash of a moment in time to get to a spot, set his feet, and then get off not just hard punches, but accurate punches. You don't see Manny Pacquiao missing a lot of his punches, right? Then Pacquiao is able to get away from the spot. So the other party, the other side, can't counter him, right? He's not there long enough to get countered. Also, if you're looking at Manny Pacquiao's feet, hoping for him to telegraph his punches, you're not going to be successful because Manny Pacquiao, as I said before, rarely reveals when he's leaning on that right leg to get off a power shot. Now, Lopez, in my opinion, and this is not a mainstream view, but Lopez, in my opinion, telegraphs his punches. He's the opposite of Manny Pacquiao. When you look at his fights, in particular, take a look at the last fight, last night's fight. You're going to see that you know when Lopez is leaning on his lead right leg. You know, just like you know with Luis Abregu, who's fighting Timothy Bradley. I have a video up on that fight. I'm taking Bradley in that fight. Now, the problem with guys who lean on that front leg is when they are facing elite fighters, and make no mistake, that's who Rafael Marquez is, right? Marquez, just like Bernard Hopkins against Felix Trinidad, Marquez is going to look at that lead left foot, and he's going to know exactly when Juan is loading up on his punches. And when he figures out, when my cat stops moaning in the background, when he figures out that Juanma is loading up his punches, Marquez, who is a counterpuncher's counterpuncher, in other words, blessed with great timing, I believe he's going to take apart Juan Manuel Lopez. That reason alone, in my opinion, makes the underdog in this fight not just viable, but quite frankly, undervalued. I think Marquez much more compelling value than Juan Ma. The other thing to think about is compare and contrast Lopez's fight with Matawa with Yorkis Gamboa's fight with Matawa. Now, when you see the two fights, they're shockingly different. Gamboa literally in the first round figures out that he can counter with the left hand, right? Gamboa then ends the fight in the second round by taking out Matawa, right? Matawa is practically defenseless against a left counter. Now, someone's going to have to explain to me why Lopez couldn't figure that out over 12 rounds, especially when Lopez is left-handed. I think that's a problem. Not only that, you'll see in the Matawa fight. Now, remember what I said about Manny Pacquiao, right? Pacquiao gets in. Now, when we talk about good footwork, I'm talking about a situation where you don't know which leg the guy's leaning on. He's hopping around the ring and he's doing it effectively where he's always balanced and you can't read his legs, right? In the Matawa fight. And then, of course, he gets out. In other words, he gets in, hits you, gets out, can't be countered. In the Matawa fight, not only is Lopez telegraphing his punches in the later rounds with his legs, but he doesn't get out. He gets in, starts to get hit, right? Matawa is in a fight with him, then he can't get out, right? When he gets in, he's in. He can't then back out, right? His balance isn't stellar. He's offensively gifted, great offensive fighter, but unfortunately, offense is only part of the game. The other problem, too, is unfortunately hand speed and using your hands. That's only part of the game. Your legs and feet matter in the sport of boxing, right? Against a guy like Marquez, I believe that's fatal. If you can't get out and you're fighting a master counterpuncher who himself is one of the sport's elite technicians, you're going to be at a severe disadvantage. So the way I'm going to structure the bet for me is I'm going to take Marquez, who's an underdog, I'm sure, just to win the fight. Then I'm going to throw a kicker, just extra points if he wins the fight by knockout, right? So the main bet's Marquez simply to win. Then a little kicker portion will be Marquez by knockout. Just to ensure myself, I'm also going to put a little on Lopez by KO. So if Lopez gets a lucky punch, I'm covered. What I'm not going to bet on is Lopez by decision. I don't see that happening. I think the likeliest outcome is that Marquez takes this fight. Let me know your thoughts. Leave them here and on gamblersadvisory.com. Thanks for watching.